Hello guys, and welcome to another Red Life Studio episode. Please subscribe and give me a like, and share my videos if you're enjoying them. Also, feel free to leave me a comment below. Now let's begin with today's stories.
My wife admitted she cheated on me. My wife is a member of the National Guard and has been for several years. She has been away for quite some time to administer COVID tests in a large city, about an hour away from our home. She works either 4 or 5 days each week and comes home on her breaks. This last week, she had her normal 4 to 5 days of work, followed immediately by a full weekend of drill, and then right back to work, so she has been gone for about 2 full weeks now. She had 1 day off yesterday and works today, and has another day off tomorrow before resuming the normal grind. Granted, the longest we have been apart at the hands of the military has been almost 5 months. When she came home, I was naturally excited and tried to greet her with a normal hug and a kiss, and she was dismissive. She asked if we could go for a walk or something, so I got ready to go and we picked up some coffee. She told me the whole story. A large group of fellow soldiers went bar hopping with her this past Monday. She told me everyone got home fine and went to bed. Shortly after, one of her fellow soldiers knocked on her door and she let him in. At this point they were both already drunk and started to watch Netflix, and the drinks kept flowing. At this point in the story, my heart sank. She wasn't making eye contact all morning and she stared at the ground the entire time. When she told me what happened next, I couldn't believe it. I have heard countless stories about how gross some of these military guys can be, most of which comes from her first-hand experience of catcalling and inappropriate remarks. Everyone knew she was married, including this nameless piece of human shit. I'm at a crossroads. She has been my best friend for so long now, and we have everything together: a house, dogs, cars, basically everything except for children at this point. I'm torn because of the way I found out. She said it happened last Monday night, about 5 days ago now. She came to me and told me the news, unprompted. There was 100% no chance that I would ever find out this even happened. In a city far away, with someone she hardly knew? It's not right what she did. She has never done anything like this before. She came to me involuntarily and honestly told me what happened, and she answered any questions that I had on the spot. What she did was unforgivable. I'll never forget, but she at least took the high road and came to me first. I had no idea. It was crushing, but after spending most of last night awake, I can realize that if someone were to come forth on their own and bring this to light, she still wants this to work. I'm just not sure what to do next. She has had mental issues with trauma when she was very young. When I asked her if this week was consensual, she said not at first, but I'm tired of being the victim, so I let it happen. She went to, I still don't know many army terms, her supervisor, and they looked into it and determined it couldn't be classified as rape. I couldn't sleep last night because I felt so nauseous, so I started to write her a letter instead. I sent it to her today, and we talked for a bit. I had told her there are 3 mandatory things she must first do before anything else happens at all. First, no more drinking, which she agreed to, and gave away any alcohol she still had. My argument boiled down to, if that's what brought you there, why go back? Second, an STD test. She doesn't know this guy. I don't know this guy. It's not worth the risk, and it's easily performed. Lastly, the military has counseling and therapy services for service people, and they even have a specially designed course for spouses going through any type of issues, including infidelity. This whole thing doesn't seem real. She has been dealing with this since last Monday, and hasn't had a meal since. I can feel the remorse, and can tell she has lost weight. We both feel gross, and after 2 weeks of not seeing her, then this, followed by another week of her being away, I feel more alone than ever. At the end of the day, no matter what happens, I want the best for both of us. I have been feeling the full swing of emotions: shame, anger, guilt, sadness, anxiety, and frustration. I recognize there is an issue here, and what I want is to solve it. Whether we stay together or not. I care for her a lot, and no matter what, I just want us both to be happy, whatever that means. I'm trying to be objective, but it's the most emotionally charged issue I have been personally involved in. I'm looking for advice here, anonymously. I am too embarrassed to tell my friends or family, and at this point, only me, her, the guy, and both of their army supervisors know. Edit 1. I asked her what her definition of Netflix and chill meant. She didn't respond, but looked at the floor. It was someone who she trusted. I have learned that most people that take advantage of others in this situation are people that person trusts. I'm on the fence about what to do, but don't you guys think that her telling me means something? I would never have known if she didn't tell me. It might have eaten her up inside, and it's well deserved, but she could have just done absolutely nothing, came home for a day, and pretended nothing happened. I have seen so many posts on here saying, OMG, I caught myself texting some girl. But in this case, I had nothing to go off of, no suspicion, and she came to me? Don't you see this as at least an attempt to fix things? Edit 2. She knew this guy from the Guard since October. It's now halfway through March, and this happened. It's not a complete stranger, but from my eyes, it's not me. It's hard to admit, but it's completely irrelevant how long you knew the cheatee for, it's still a cheat. Edit 3. Have none of you any sympathy? No compassion or empathy? Can none of you learn from your mistakes? I don't know what this means. Maybe everyone is right. I have definitely voiced my opinion on friends' opinions in the past to break up with someone else. Maybe it's my rose-colored glasses, but maybe I also believe this could still work. I know it's very easy to walk away, it may or may not be the right thing to do. What I'm saying is, how many of you have tried to make it work? How many of you have been hurt? Because I have, I'm looking for support, one way or the other. If you would have asked me 5 years ago when we got married if I would tolerate cheating, I would say fucking no. After so many years, and so many good times, and with her being gone so much. Especially during COVID, where I work at home and do all the household chores while she is away. It's all really raw and fresh. I appreciate all of the responses, but I still feel like by browsing the subreddit, it's mostly the mentality of screw the other person. Mob now. Edit 4. Nobody knows the whole story. I don't either. There's still a line of what you want to know or not. Do you guys want me to ask her if she started to rub his crotch, then he got a boner, and then what? Did you suck it? Did you take his pants off or his shirt? What was your favorite part of his body? Who wants to know any of that? Whatever she left out was from me not wanting to ever know. Do you realize this is the lives of 2 actual humans? I know she did something wrong, it hasn't even been a day yet, and my mind is already scrambled. Edit 5. I'm just curious if anyone here has actually survived cheating, and as a result gotten to the main issue of why it has occurred? It's easy to walk away, I won't refute that. Has anyone here gone through the work and worked through the issues? Or is it all completely doom and gloom? Moreover, does it make it better or worse for them confessing? Edit 6. I'm completely exhausted. I am running on approximately 3 hours of sleep. I took our dogs for a walk. I spent an hour and a half on the phone with a military psychologist. I'm drained. I have nothing left. I haven't eaten all day, and at this point, I'm perfectly fine with going to bed at 5 p.m. Edit 7. One piece of advice I was given over the phone was to call a close friend for support and to try and not be alone. I reached out to my best friend and he came over right away and I confided in him and he gave me advice. We talked for a good amount of time about it and we spent the rest of the night playing video games together. He's a smart guy and I valued his input. We spent all of today doing the same and watched a bunch of YouTube videos and didn't talk about her infidelity at all. Just before he was about to leave, my wife started messaging me and checking to see how I am doing. We are still texting back and forth as I am typing this. She is answering all of my questions. The more I read all of these comments here, after talking with my friend, and from the answers I have gotten from her, in addition to having just a bit more time to think things over, I'm more heavily considering divorce as a serious possibility. Edit 8. We spent the last few hours awake last night texting each other. I asked for more details on exactly what happened. I asked again what led up to these events that night. She said they were bar hopping, everyone went back to their hotel rooms, but continued to talk in a group chat. She had mentioned a show she was watching, and this guy said he wanted to watch it too. She invited him in. I asked how this could possibly happen and what led up to the actual act. She said when he got there, both were still drunk. She offered him beer while she drank more too. They sat on opposite sides of the same couch and watched 3 episodes of the show. I mentioned this in a reply just a bit ago, but I'll copy and paste it here as well. She has always had a way of trying to prove that she is a tough person. Whenever we would have friends over for drinks, she would always get to a point where she would challenge everyone and anyone to some sort of physical strength challenge. Arm wrestling, regular wrestling, etc., which she admitted was probably started the intimacy, and she admitted it was her idea to wrestle this guy. It's like she always had something to prove. She was never like that before the guard, and I can tell it has changed her personality quite a bit. So after about the 3rd episode, she challenged him to wrestling. She said after a while, he kissed her. One thing led to another. I asked why she didn't stop him and she replied by saying she at first, maybe that's why they wrestled, but they were 2 separate things. I'm not sure what that means, and I don't know if she does either. No matter what, this reinstills that this was completely consensual. When she came home, she did have visible bruises on her face and back as well as a fat lip and a slight black eye. So I think this is most likely what happened, given her history of getting physical when intoxicated. This also confirms to me that this was completely not a rape case, and that possibility is out the window. I asked her what happened the next morning. When she woke up to her alarm, they were both still drunk and he was still there. She threw his stuff at him and made him leave her hotel room. She had to go to work, and after that they met up with their leader and said they both didn't remember much but agreed it was consensual and decided not to talk about it anymore. This makes me feel like an official report has not been made, and that makes me nervous. I didn't ask her yesterday to confirm or deny this. It didn't even occur to me to ask her while we were on the subject. I am definitely going to ask her about this the next time we talk. She has a relative that lives in the same city she is stationed in right now and has spent as many nights possible sleeping at her apartment instead of returning to the hotel. She has talked about this with her aunt and has been receiving counseling through the military as well. I asked if any of this has seemed to help at all or not. She says it has helped. I asked if she was suicidal, and she said she was, but not at the current moment. A little bit of background information here. This isn't the first time she has felt suicidal, and before we even started dating 10 years ago, told me she had previously been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. This past summer she had to leave for about 2 months, which also included her birthday. While she was gone, I wanted to surprise her with a new renovation to our home that we both wanted for some time. I worked on it every day after work and enlisted the help of all 4 of our parents on weekends. She surprised me by coming back about a week early. The construction spanned nearly the entire first floor, including the dining room, living room, and from entrance. Tools are everywhere and the place is a work in progress. It stressed her out. It was taking longer to complete it, and even with all of the help, hers included, it began to take a toll. We talked it through and put even more time into completing it, so we could both be comfortable again. This was the first time she had brought her suicidal thoughts to me. We worked through it together, and all seemed well. The timeline would line up, because that was over this past summer, and the first time she met this guy was this past October, so there isn't an overlap. It doesn't mean she didn't do something with someone else earlier. I'm just saying at that time, if she is being honest, it's not the same guy. I have seen a lot of people saying this is a clear indication that something like this most likely has happened before. She denies it, and has been adamant about this being the first and only time. I feel like I believe her, but whether I do or not, it still happened at least once, and I'm not sure if that even really makes it better or worse. Naturally, the next question I had was asking if she has any feelings for this guy. Her exact words were, "I didn't think so, I don't think so." I asked her to explain further, and she replied, "How could anyone do that with someone you didn't have feelings for?" Then I asked her if she still has feelings for me, and if not, when did they change or fade? Her response was, "That's one of the things I am working on." Honestly, this paragraph was the thing that hurt me the most. The reason she said these things, in her words, were that if you truly love somebody and you do this to them, do you really love that person? Or do you love this new person instead? What does that say about what your true feelings are? In a way, I think I understand the sentiment and the rationale behind it. Later in our conversation last night, she said she was pretty positive she doesn't have feelings for him, but that's why she doesn't know why she did what she did. I am taking time off of work and my boss has been very supportive. I plan on spending my day today taking my dog for another walk, then I'm going to go to the bookstore and pick up a few book recommendations I have received through private messages and chats from this subreddit. I really appreciate everyone here for taking the time and letting me vent. The anonymous third-party support is something I think I really need right now, in addition to the support from my friends and family that know us on a personal level. I want to thank all of you for the support, kind messages, and brutal honesty. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit like. If you would like to see more, feel free to subscribe.